Okay. Hello, my name is John Ennis, curator, producer at Journeys in Design. Welcome to our online design hub and our Journeys Cafe and to our Chasing Rainbows program. It's Thursday at 3, so it's time for a Rainbow Maker chat over a cup of tea. And I'm delighted to welcome today Andy McGregor. Andy, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you, John. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Now, Andy is a man. He's not going to be too modest to sing his own praises, but a man of many parts. Journeys in Design has been delighted to collaborate with you over a number of projects, including graphic design for our building sites series, looking at repurposing of old buildings, and video work, editing some of our Twilight talks about design. But your contribution has ranged across the board: object, culture, exhibitions, events, festivals. Where are you right now?
I'm in my studio on the top floor of Summerhall in central Edinburgh. And
just for those of you who don't know, Summerhall, actually Europe's biggest independent art complex. So tell us about your base there. It looks intriguing. Everything going on.
Well, yeah, I fell in love with the studio about 6 years ago when I came to Summerhall before. I came, I think, about a year after it opened. I came in during the festival and just kind of wandered around with my jaw hitting the floor, amazed at the building. Which used to be what was called the Dick Vet, the veterinary school of the university.
Yes, it was, and of course I was a medic in Edinburgh, and we would exchange lecture theatres sometimes. So the medics would go to Dick Vet to meet with the vets and hear something about I don't know, pathology across.
Yeah. Well, from time to time, I have people who knock on my door who have wandered up to the top of the stairs and say, "Oh, I used to work in this building, and I just want to move my friend around."
And so the particular part that you're in,
the part I'm in, it was the photographic. It was a purpose-built studio. It was a photographic studio.
Oh right, the medical veterinary photography, right?
Take pictures of, I guess, animal skeletons and that kind of a thing. So it's come with this beautiful north-facing suite of windows, which are in front of me, and skylight. So it reminds me an awful lot when I first came here and saw this room. It rather reminded me of the studio I had in the girls' high school, which was part of Glasgow School of Art, where I did my degree many years ago.
Okay, right.
And that was in the Department of Environmental Art. And although I started off in the Macintosh building in first year and finished with my degree show in the Macintosh building, I spent the majority of my time at Glasgow School of Art in this brilliant old high school building, and the Department of Environmental Art was produced, people may be familiar with it, it produced many of the
hugely influential
some of the foremost
amazing
artists from Scotland, and a whole kind of movement almost of which began there with kind of the questioning of, what is art and what form can art take?
I've been in touch in the last year with David Harding, who's one of the key movers in that. He did a lot of work he was Scotland's first town artist on the board at Glenrothes Council and did fantastic work there. But again,
David took over as head of department, I tell the story, he was trying to spend the whole departmental budget on a cement mixer.
A hangover from the concrete days.
Glenrothes
Love it.
Making art for roundabouts.
Absolutely, and they're still there, and they're those the hippopotamus at Glenrothes hugely.
We were a bit more. We had a kind of revolutionary zeal, a lot of us, which actually tied in well with him, and because he was really into Mexican muralists and art as a kind of a process for change and social reawakening and social leveling, maybe. And in some ways that really influenced a lot of us who, we had the same objective, but we were coming from slightly different directions.
Fantastic. So I'm intrigued by that. Is that a little sub room behind you there? What's going on there? Is that another?
The little room behind me is my edit suite. So it was originally the dark room of when this was photographed.
Okay, right.
So it's ideal. It's got a sliding door, and so I do my video editing and animation and things like that in there. It's also a bit of a store, I'm afraid, and it's not very public facing. But
I have to say, during the lockdown, I haven't got a room in the house that hasn't been deep cleaned, retidied, and my socks have been color coded, all the rest of it. Amazing time. Get cleaned. The time is now.
Yeah, it probably is. It is on my to-do list, but my to-do list doesn't seem to get me very far. I mean, at the moment, I am still working. I've got some projects on the go. Some things have been put into on hold, but
well, you know, on that basis, Summerhall, incredible complex. A lot of independent complexes facing challenges at the moment. What's going on?
For sure, and Summerhall is one of them. There is a Save Summerhall campaign on the go.
Okay.
Because Summerhall gets no money from the public purse, and so for Summerhall, the festival and the Fringe, now sadly cancelled, is a major part of their.
I mean, for anyone who, yeah, I mean, not only is, yeah, I was just yeah, of course, and Europe's biggest independent art complex comes alive during the world's biggest arts festival, the Edinburgh Festivals in August. So lots of challenges for the city and for independent. I would give a shout out, this is Museums Week, and I would want to give a shout out for, as an independent producer, curator, I work with a number of different people who, you know, give us their faith and confidence that we're going to do something good in their building. So I want to shout out the Highland Folk Museum, Granton-on-Spey Museum, Lisburn Linen Centre and Lisburn Museum, Kirkcaldy Library and Galleries, and really let's support our local creative hubs of whatever form, our museums, galleries, maker spaces. Shout out also to the Custom Lane down in Leith where we've worked, to the Hennig in Selkirk, and all these places. They're the places that will nourish us through and out of this challenge. So, you know, let's remember our local creative spaces. No,
well said. And I think if Summerhall was to go under, the people of Edinburgh would really, people of Scotland, I think
so. I think so. I mean, it's a.
People have variously described it as a little slice of Berlin in Scotland. You know,
my mind's going where I shouldn't go with that comment, Andy. So we'll move on. Now, speaking of festivals, I have to celebrate with you and just congratulate you the Castle of Light experience over this most recent winter. Now, we might think about bringing it back to our notions of colour. This notion of light and colour together. I've been lucky enough to see some wonderful exhibitions, Glow in Eindhoven, with lovely chums James and Claire. I know you know both of them. And the work of Bruce Munro. The challenges of light and colour. How was that?
Well, it's a wonderful. Just to outline a little bit about Castle of Light. Castle of Light is a project instigated by Historic Environment Scotland, and they wanted to do a kind of Sonne Lumiere kind of show at Edinburgh Castle. Incredible opportunity, amazing venue. I would imagine that the majority of the population of the world has probably heard of Edinburgh Castle. So it's certainly a good one for my CV. And I'm sort of creative director of the show, and we use something in the region of, it's kind of a promenade show with 11 different video projection installations, lighting installations, interactive installations, all unified by light, really, and sound to a certain extent. So yeah, it's we had 34,000 visitors last year and 500,000 lumens of projection. I don't know, people probably know that.
I'm going to hold that figure, 500,000 lumens of projection.
Yes, 500,000 lumens of projected light, and the average projector in your home living room setup's about 1,000 lumens. So that gives you an idea of the the brightness. But anyway,
quite a lot of light.
It was a joyful creative experience, and we're working towards doing it again this year. So really kind of hoping
Well,
that happens.
absolutely. It does.
But in terms of color, you know, my practice varies across a lot of different things, from designing and producing books in printed form through to designing exhibitions and installations.
Andy, I'm noticing a charming little beautifully colored object over your shoulder there.
Oh yeah, that's a little bird box that was part of a project that I did with an artist called Sharon Quigley, who I know.
The wonderful Sharon, yes.
Sharon, and she's got a great sense of color, I have to say. And she brought me in to work.
So what is that? Beautiful. It's a little bird box. What is it?
Bird box. It's a kind of leftover, or it was a kind of test version of something that's in the Forth Valley Royal Hospital in the children's wards there.
So I know Sharon's done some wonderful work in different ways. She did a
Sharon
mapping project and the star mapping project.
She produced sort of wall murals, and a lot of it was based around ideas of bird life, but it's in this kind of rural campus, Forth Valley Royal, near Fulford. And so she used kind of birds and bird song, and sort of almost developed a kind of a language of mark making that to my eye was a little bit like a kind of abstraction of bird song. But there were also silhouettes of birds in the artwork. And as an extension of that, we produced these bird boxes which are interactive, and you can go, they're all kind of mounted at child height, and kids could go and look inside the box, and then various things inside. That one's got a reflective mirror, so you just see your own eye looking back.
Oh, lovely! How
But they also had a sensor in the roof above them. So if you put your head in front of them, it triggers a sensor which then plays birdsong to you. So
fantastic.
I love working across all these kinds of different media. You know,
isn't it interesting how the sensory experience when we did our garden party exhibition in 2014 at our previous when we used our own venue at Gayfield Creative Spaces. We had birdsong and displayed our objects. And a simple little intervention, but it really did take people to different. I have to say, I wake at the moment with a dawn chorus, and those guys are having fun out there. It sounds like a rave more than a.
I'm going to ask you what color is the birdsong to you?
I will go with, that's great, quite green, I think. And maybe a bit of red. Am I thinking of robins? I don't know. Those are the colours that come to mind. And you?
I'm always when I hear birdsong, I tend to think of sort of duck egg blue and kind of tertiary colours. That sort of part of the palette. But it depends what part of the world I'm in. If I was in Australia, then I think I would probably the colours would probably come to mind would be those of the bright colours of. Kind of exotic bird life that they have there.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting talking about context and color. A lot of my professional development has been through exhibitions and events, and then perhaps the book after. In fact, behind me here, this is a rack of postcards. I started this part of my profession, if you like, 8 years ago, but you know, all my life, 30 years of going to exhibitions and events. And when I couldn't afford the book, I would often buy the postcard, or maybe the book was too heavy to cart home. So 50 years of postcards. And I was looking through them the other day and so many of them are related to color. But I ran into trouble, a bit of a heated debate with a printer some time ago. Look, because I wanted the same orange that was in our sign, our Journeys in Design sign, on my letterhead and already specifying color. I mean, extraordinarily complex, but I have to say a big thank you to Joseph Albers, Bernat Klein, David Batchelor. These are the people that I've learned about color through their theorizing, but it's a minefield.
Oh, it is indeed. And as a designer and maker who works across different media, you know, it's that whole process of translating something, for instance, you know, one color model to another. So if we're talking about projected light, we're talking about red, green, and blue combined at 100% make white. But if we're talking about a printed book, then we're talking about cyan, magenta, yellow, and black combined on a piece of paper and reflecting light.
I'm just getting a slight anxiety building even with those references.
Well, I have a drawer.
I mean,
here kind of that just says colors. It's
open that drawer.
Well, in this drawer, I keep things because you need references in this world of color uncertainty. So I keep things like this little of perspex that relate to that the material that bird box is made of. But equally, we have I have things here like kind of vinyls that might be used in exhibition work. So
Okay. Okay, and again, with the medium, it's a whole different reference point.
Along with Pantone books of all different sorts, so there's a whole drawer of colours here, and it's a real joy.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, so there we've gone from Edinburgh. We're over in the Forth Valley, but you have worked across Scotland, and in fact with national organisations as well, the national galleries, with the Botanic Gardens.
Sure.
Projects bubbling. I hear the Titian show is.
Well, yeah, the Titian show that's currently in the National Gallery in London is due to be coming up here, and if it does,
was that going to be our festival show?
It was going to be the festival show. I'm
may still be. I don't know.
Will be happening. I don't know. I don't have any real intelligence on what it's on hold, like many things at the moment. But I did do. Talking of colour, actually, another project that I was working on just before the lockdown happened was a whole project about rhododendrons at the Inverleaf House Botanic Gardens here.
Botanics.
And that's incredible. There's a great photographer there who's photographed all these different genus of rhododendrons, many hundreds. And
isn't it interesting? Yeah.
What a wonderful collection of colours that is. That's
fantastic.
That's a superb.
Edinburgh has such a, I think like much of Edinburgh, the botanics are small but perfectly formed.
Yeah, that's right.
The aquarium that's associated with that is a world centre of the seed bank. But that makes me think about one of the origins of colour, which of course is dyes, textile dyes, and an amazing meander through the world of indigo I took recently. And that starts out as a green leaf, that ferments, and the nature of the colour of blue depends on how long it's been fermenting, how long the textile's dipped, what textile it is, all the rest of it. Extraordinary, but dyes, plants, and colour, sort of that intimate link.
Yeah. So there's the show I hope will happen. It's called Rose by Any Other Name. The show about rhododendrons, and I'm very hopeful that it's still going to come to light at some point. But yeah, I work for the National Galleries as well, and work a lot with artists. So I'm thinking of in fine art is kind of useful in.
It must give you the language. It must give you the language to be able to.
Well, it definitely does, and I really enjoy these relationships that evolve in the process of working with artists. I mean, sometimes they're living artists, I should say. In the case of Titian, of course, that's not going to be an option to work with him. But
although, can I take you to your work with Bridgett Riley?
Yes, yeah. The major summer exhibition last year was Bridgett Riley at the Royal Scottish Academy, and that was that was a real treat. I mean, that was a lovely. I'm a fan of her work anyway, but there were two works in the show which were painted directly onto the wall. And so seeing her studio assistants all kind of, going through that process took about roughly a week to 10 days, I think, putting these, transferring these cartoons up onto the wall and then meticulously painting them.
And of course, those works are about colour. I mean, absolutely in your fake colour and form and all the rest of it.
Oh, yes, yeah, no, absolutely. Although she works sometimes with black as well. But I mean, that whole kind of process of looking at her work, and especially the really kind of op art ones, where you get this kind of optical effect that almost kind of can, even in a black and white work, can almost start to generate colour in a kind of Mari pattern.
It is
So,
fair. I mean, it is an experience, isn't it, to sit to just look at those works sometimes.
so color kind of color sort of appears where color doesn't actually exist. I mean, she said it was interesting in respect to color anyway, and her that normally part of my work as an exhibition designer would be to choose colors or work with curators or the artists to choose colors as for different rooms and that they would show their work against. In the case of the Bridgett Riley show, I mean, it came with a specific Dulux number.
There was no there was no guesswork there.
That color, and it had to be. So that's quite interesting. And my challenge in doing that show was also, I was from the very outset, I was really keen to try and design something where the graphics and all the information part of it could almost kind of take a back seat.
I love this. Yes. I mean, I think for me, as a curator and co-designer of exhibitions, there's this huge dilemma when it comes to infographics and labels. I want people to know the backstories. But at the same time, I don't want there to be a jar with how you respect the object when you come to see it. So we, in our recent iteration of our linen stories, which is an evolving traveling tour about flax fiber and linen, we used QR codes. That was clearly not going to be enough. It's not accessible for everyone. So we also set aside from the object collections a set of essays, which you could pick up. They were printed linen paper, and so you could pick up and read. But it is a dilemma. I mean, do you want to talk about how that worked with Bridgett Riley?
Well, I just said, as an aside, I'm just thinking if we put QR codes next to Bridgett Riley's work, it would have been
no.
taken for the actual work.
A bit tricky, yeah.
Yeah. No, in this case, I used sort of materials, some of the vinyl materials to graphic vinyls that were put onto the wall. I used a sort of an etch effect material, which is normally used on glass doors in modern buildings to.
Oh, right. So you don't walk into them.
So you don't walk into the glass door. Well, I used that in a way that it's not really designed for, but to put the graphics or elements of the graphics on the wall, and it has kind of iridescence to it. So it was quite nice, and it was in this kind of tonally, sort of a mid-tone, which allowed it to be, you could kind of zone it out and concentrate on her work, but then it was there when you wanted to see it.
Super clever, yeah.
That was the idea. And, I suppose I was flattered that when the show went to the Hayward in London, there were inquiries from down there asking about the precise kind of sample, the numbers, the materials that I had used. And it was also reported that Bridgett Riley herself had wanted to carry some of the graphic elements over from my design. So that was a pattern.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Yeah, congratulations. A wonderful experience. And really thinking in that sense about non-color.
Well, that's right. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm interested. Although we're having this chat about color, I work a lot with greys and grey tones.
Yeah.
I suppose they're very useful in designing interior spaces and for giving a ground for an exhibition. But when we talk about grey, greys there's an enormous amount of colour in grey. I mean, if we just look at this, look at that swatch there. There's the
okay, I'm anxious again. I painted my hall a couple of years ago, and I think I had 17 different shades of grey on the wall. And I'm reminded of Ed Hollis, who's an art lecturer here locally, his comment on the slippery art of interior design. And I kind of got that. And that's an interesting whole area in itself involving.
Well, yeah, I have a project on the go again, with uncertain when it will actually open, but it will definitely come along at some point, which is with Alison Watt, the artist Alison Watt.
I want to stop you right there. I'm going to, just talking about non-color. I want to grab where have I got it? Okay, literally, sometimes I need to just settle my head, and I'm not very good at these meditation techniques. So I will grab an art book And you know, I've got this one, Alison Watt, with Alan Spence. It's called Still. And for people in Edinburgh who know Old St. Paul's, this is one of the most beautiful art interventions that many people will associate with Alison. And this is, the book doesn't do justice, but I can sit with an art book and just look, and the color, of course, will saturate. And the books I've got behind me, I'll grab a book about Matisse or whatever, and I'll feel engaged. But sometimes it's the non-color. And Alison's book, there's one called Fold that I have, and it's just exquisite. And it's just her beautiful, gentle, the textile painting that she does. And it's...
Well, that's right. I mean, she works a lot with what people would consider a kind of, a very restricted palette. But at the same time, she is absolutely precise about color. And there have been, and there will continue to be...
So you're working with her at the moment?
Many discussions in the run-up to when this exhibition was finally made. And for instance, she gave me another Alison Watt book, but she gave me this, and it's a catalogue for a show she had a while back. But the precise color of the grey linen on the cover is a color that she's interested in showing her work against for one part of this exhibition. So here we go back to the world of kind of translation from one material to the other. We have a bookbinder's linen that in some way I've got to try and translate into either a painted surface or potentially a self-colored timber material, sort of composite MDF type material.
Wow.
Which is quite interesting actually these days. We're getting lots of different kind of self-colored, I quite like that yellow, it's going quite well with my top.
You're rocking the mustard. Andy, we've come to pretty much our time, and listen how interesting we're ending up with non-color and your fantastic textile to round up this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot. Every day is a school day, and it's always a joy to chat with you. I guess we would both want to just repeat that wee shout out to culture hubs in whatever forms, creative hubs.
Yeah, let's get back into as soon as we can, as soon as they reopen, let's get back into cultural spots. And
here.
People talk a lot about the return or the reopening of football stadia. Well, I must say that a bit of me, I hasten on the day that, or look forward to the day when the galleries and cultural centres reopen.
Andy, thank you for speaking.
All right, pleasure. Bye.
Cheers for now. Bye-bye.